Welcome to UK Explored. In this video, we are exploring an area called Bransholme, which is located on the north side of Kingston upon Hull, in the East Riding area of Yorkshire. Now, Bransholme is an interesting area with a colourful history, but for a lot of the wrong reasons, to be honest. Bransholme is actually one of the largest council estates in Europe, let alone the UK. And it's also one of the most deprived areas in the UK, and with a population of around 18,500, it has far exceeded the number of residents the housing was originally built for, and it has become overcrowded. To give you an idea of just how vast this estate is, there are 7 primary schools, 2 secondary schools, 2 large shopping centres, some smaller shopping districts, loads of entertainment stuff like a cinema and bowling alley. There are pubs, restaurants, a youth centre, a police station, and more. Let's start by looking at the housing. Most of the housing in Bransholme was built in the late 60s, early 70s, although there are some newer builds, usually around the outskirts, and there has been some refurbishment done over the years, of course. But the 2 main hubs of antisocial behaviour centred around the 2 high-rise tower blocks. You have Padstow House, which you can see here. This is a 17-storey tower block containing 90 flats. This block was last refurbished in 1994, and it looks like there's going to be some more social housing popping up around it. The other high-rise is called Gatwick House, and this is situated a little further to the east, and it's the same build of the same number of flats. Now, living in council tower blocks comes with its fair share of problems. And in these blocks there have been fires that could easily have spread and been catastrophic. Many of the residents have been victims of crimes at the hands of other residents, and there's just a whole list of antisocial behaviour going on. I've had a bit of flack on previous videos for stating that crime and high-rise tower blocks go hand in hand across the country, but it's just a fact. There have been various social studies carried out all over the world that proves living in densely populated high-rise buildings does mean a higher crime rate than the more spacious traditional individual housing estates, as well as higher stress for the residents, poorer health, and in particular, it has a negative impact on children. Anyway, I'll put a link in the description to one of those studies if you are interested in looking at it further. Moving on across to the rest of the estate, there is a lot of terraced and semi-detached housing, much of which is built in this uniform manner, making parts of the estate feel very samey as you're walking around. The worst of the housing has been demolished over the years, but it's very obvious that much of Bransholme's housing looks dated, because it is, and it is in poor condition. Hull City Council have been forced to bring the housing stock up to the decent home standards over the years, but I'm not sure where they currently are on that timeline with this housing. There is some housing stock that is privately owned. The average house price over the last year was in the 144,000 range, with terrace houses going for as low as 100k. So looking at the crime, it really is the crime stats and some of the incidents over the years that has made Bransholme such a notorious estate. It's not easy getting the stats localised to just Bransholme, but data suggests that anywhere between 250 and 350 crimes a month is typical. That's a lot of crime, especially for just one estate, even though it's such a large estate like this. But it's the seriousness of many of the crimes that give Bransholme its reputation. Some of the worst crimes over the years includes a masked gang armed with a gun, a hammer and a samurai sword burst into a drug den, they shot a man and they stole his cannabis stash. Another incident involved a man having a 6-hour standoff with police after forcing himself into one of his neighbours' houses. From there he was threatening to chop up the police and take his own life. And a man was jailed for 2 years for deliberately reversing over his own mum in his taxi. In addition to these, there are loads of reports you can go through. Some of the more recent ones and more regular incidents include teenagers selling Class A drugs, drink driving incidents, and there are even murders that happen on the estate. From walking around the estate for a morning myself, I can tell you that it's obviously a deprived area that's struggling. Obviously the cost of living in recent years has affected a lot of people, and it often hits areas like this really hard. Although I don't doubt that there are plenty of decent, hard-working people in Bransholme, many of which love living there, I bet, and I do want to state that for the record. It does feel very fortified walking around, which I guess is a good thing. Most of the houses have high fences that you can't even see over. The shops and schools, etc. have barbed wire going around the top. It's little things like that that remind you that you're not on a safe estate. Honestly, I'd like to try my luck at one or two of the pubs on a Friday night if I was in the area. I bet I'd meet some characters. But anyway, if you do or have lived in Bransholme, I'd love to hear about your experiences. Feel free to drop a comment below. Even if you haven't lived there, we still appreciate any insights and feedback you have on what you've just seen. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next one.